Thank you. So now I know why nobody wanted this spot. I'm following Larry Wall at a Perl conference. This is also the largest group I've ever spoken in front of. Fortunately, I have only one goal, and that is to define a word. Unfortunately, the word is kind of a downer, and it might even make me some enemies here. The word is over-adoption. Most people have heard of the term over-engineering. Over-adoption is kind of like that, except when you don't invent it yourself. It's kind of the opposite of not invented here syndrome. When you adopt new technologies just because you think they're cool and you want to learn something new and useful, and you probably think it'll benefit the organization eventually, but there is such a thing as doing too much of that. So an example of that would be a CPAN module you hear about at a Perl conference, and that's why I said I might make some enemies, is I might change some of your mind about adopting some of these things. Over-adoption is barely covered even in the academic study of diffusion of innovations. That's where I found the term. It's in a book called Diffusion of Innovations. I read the whole book, and it has like a sentence or two about over-adoption because it's apparently a very uncommon thing. Usually you're trying to get people to adopt some really agreed upon useful new technology to clean water or make better crop yields or something like that. But in software engineering, for some reason, it seems to happen quite a bit. We get all excited to try new things, and then we install something new, we never configure it, we forget about it a year later, and we throw it away for something else, and it makes life hard for all of our coworkers who have to try and understand this new technology, and all the people that follow us, all the people that have to debug it when it's broken in production. These are reasons that we should think about adopting a new technology. Before you do it, consider the trade-offs involved. There are costs to over-adoption. And so it may help your career, it may be what's best for you, but it's not always what's best for your organization. So maybe consider doing it on your own time. Thank you.
Well, since I have the microphone, I'll go first with the ads. For the musically inclined in the audience, Collings Guitar is in the Austin area, and they do factory tours on Friday afternoons. They ask that you call ahead and let them know how many are in your party. I would like to go and do the factory tour. If anyone would like to join me, please let me know so we can get a group together and let them know that we will be X number of people. That's Friday. I believe they do the tours at about 3:30. So if you're still going to be around, great. Let me know. I'm around. DHA, David Adler, should be able to find me. Thanks.
Sorry? Okay.
Sure, yes, I'm a sponsor of brewpony.com. Yaxi and the promo code. Go for it. Brewpony.com. It's on the back of your shirt, on the back of the program. It's coffee delivered to your door because I know you're all lazy and I know you all love coffee, so go subscribe. Yaxi NA is a promo code, 10% off anything and everything. Go for it.
Okay. Hi. I'm sorry for it. こんにちは。I'm from Japan, Tokyo. And my name is Yuji Shimada. My post account is Cyclone. Call me Cyclone. This is Kaminarimon. And we have Perl Ninja. And he is real ninja. And I works at DNA, and DNA is so famous as mobile game, and mobile game is social game platform. About 3-5 million PV per day. All web application run on Prague. Yeah. DNA. Okay, and so what's PMI install? And PMI install is per module installer, and so PMI install features and install modules. So PM install who successfully. Okay. And so next feature displays a list of dependency. So Prague is too many dependencies. So and逆okay. So Prague so face okay. And so I want to catalyst runtime corner dev HTTP for it depends. Okay. Sorry. Okay. And see and target to local live modules -L option. Currently local. It's locally live PM ISO local flag. And so this path is and just local flag. よいしょ。毎回でしょ。So very easy to install some modules, but we get C-U. I implemented it. So okay, I install PM install. PM install app PM install. Okay, uninstall. Sorry. Okay. Oh. No. What? Okay. So. Okay. Hey. Oh, PM. Yes. Okay, and so next step. Okay. Echo alias PMI install -U. Okay. Oh. So reload. PMI install. Okay, C-U and Prague. Uninstall successfully. So, thank you so very much.
Hello, everyone. My name is Al Newkirk, and I am now working with a company called CrowdTilt. CrowdTilt is an awesome company, and I'm not just saying that because they gave me a T-shirt and are paying me. They actually agreed to put on a movie night tonight. This is not bad movie night, or it's not supposed to be bad movie night. So if you guys are interested, there are 20 spots left, And we have a crowd tilt campaign, so you can go to the wiki, follow the link, or you can just, I don't know, Google it. And if you want, you can contribute and get a ticket, and we'll meet you there. There's beer and movies and friends, so come out and join us. And that's it. Thank you.
Okay, today I'm going to talk about my new library named sRegix. It's for streaming regular expression, matching, and substitution. And you guys have already noticed my slides homepage for several times in the previous talk, right? Okay. So in a very efficient web service, request body and responses are processed in data chunks like in NUX. We seldom or never buffer the whole data, like response bodies or request bodies all in memory. So we instead, we receive the data chunks piece by piece, and we emit the output also chunk by chunk. And we usually have fixed size buffers for processing a much larger data stream like megabytes or even larger, and something like this. In NUX, we usually have 4 kilobytes buffer or 8 kilobytes to process arbitrary length data. So for this kind of data processing, using a regular expression, backtracking regular expression engines suck. And for example, if we have a regular expression that can backtrack badly, like beyond the buffer boundary, and tries to track something that has already become a history. So the current stream position cannot be moved back beyond the buffer start pointer. And this is like a backtracking regular expression, how a backtracking regular expression works. And this is not a perfect example, but it can demonstrate the idea. So we have 2 branches. One is ABC and one is AB. And first we try ABC in 3 steps, and we find that the third character is not C. Then we try the second branch, like AB. So Thompson's construction algorithm comes to rescue, because in the backtracking engine, we have to move back the stream pointer. Here's the Thompson construction machine's rationale. And first, we try all the alternatives in a single run, that is at once. For the first step, we try to match the 2 A's, and the second step, we try to match the 2 B's. And then the third step, we try to match the C in the first branch. That is at once, without going back, just moving forward. And it also supports submatch captures, something like this. We number the parentheses from 0, like 0, 1, 2, 3. So it doesn't matter if it's a open parenthesis or a closing parenthesis, it's just the same. And then in each state, we save the current stream pointer to the corresponding parenthesis number, like save number 0, save number 2, etc. And DFAs cannot find the beginnings of submatch captures without matching backwards. It can find where the submatches end, but it cannot find the beginning unless we match a reversed version of the regular expression in the reversed order. So in step 2, we match CBA or BA in the reversed order so that we can get the beginnings of the submatchers. To make all this work, I created the sRegix library based on Russ Cox's Re1 library. Russ is a Google engineer, and he's also the author of Re2. And this is the GitHub page for my sRegix library. And it's written in pure C. And I don't like C++ very much. And Perl is surely not up to the task. And sRegix includes 2 engines, Thompson VM and the Pike VM. The Pike VM is just a modified version of Thompson VM to support submatch captures. And sRegix already supports all these Pro5 regular expression syntax notations. And it's already passing all the related test cases in both PCRE and Perl's official test suites. And the API is like this. We feed into the regular expression each data chunk in each function core, and we can also signify if the buffer is already the last buffer in the data stream. And the Thomson VM in SRegiX has already a simple just-in-time compiler targeting x86-64. And it uses Dynasm, which powers Logic's interpreter. Still a lot of important optimizations to do. And I've also created an NGC module, NGX replace filter, to be the first user of SRegiX. And in the NGX configuration, we can just define a directive to do the substitution in a streaming fashion. And we can also do a tokenizer fashion, like skipping the C and C++ string literals without substituting the false positives in the string buffers. But also we can buffer something wherever we are extremely necessary, like this. Thank you.
Hi, everybody. You guys want to do some training? So after the conference ends on Wednesday, you should stick around for the Moose classes that we're doing on Thursday and Friday. So Dave Rolski is doing the basic Moose class on Thursday. And if you've never used Moose, you should really check it out. Probably like half of the talks mention Moose as an awesome project, and I really think it is. And then on Friday, we're doing, Steven created Moose. We're doing advanced Moose training with all new material that pretty much nobody's ever seen. So we'll have to kill you after you attend the talks. And Steve and I work for Infinity Interactive, who is sponsoring beer tonight, so let's give a little shout out to them. But we also do corporate training, so if you guys want to bring Moose into your company, we're also happy to teach you and your team Moose or Git or telecommuting. I don't know. Thanks.
Hi, my name is John Rubin. I'm a Perl developer at Grand Street Group. Last year during these lightning talks, this man, Mike Aquilina, presented a product that we called Testify. Now, Testify was an online plain English testing and automation tool, and everyone that we showed it to pretty much had the same reaction. This is amazing. I can't wait to show our QA staff. There's a web UI, right? Please tell me there's a web UI. No, there was no web UI. At the time, we developed a backend and had the intention of coming back and putting a full-fledged web UI in later. Turns out we had it backwards. So we went back to the drawing board, worked with a number of other companies and products, and now we're back with Tellurium. Tellurium is a full-featured web automation and testing tool that absolutely anyone can use to write plain English tests and run them to get results. Now, what's a plain English test, you say? Here's an example. As you can see, it's quite easy to read, should be easy to write, easy to understand, and best of all, because of the new web UI, it's easy to run. Users can write tests using our commands from our library, such as these, or they can get right down to it and download our browser extension to record their activities as plain English tests. And since everything is in plain English, the test can be shared with absolutely anyone, from clients to coworkers, compliance officers, and the general development and testing community. Additionally, they could be used for a wide array of purposes: acceptance testing, training, process documentation, bug reporting, pretty much anything you can think of. And the plain English nature of the tests allows them to be living documents. So not only are they serving as automated tests to make sure your application works correctly, but they also describe how your application works, and that's the key to them. But if our plain English isn't plain Englishy enough, we've built in functionality that lets you create phrases or combinations of tests using our commands. For example, we have here a 7 command test that logs you into our application. That's a lot to write for every test you want to log into our application. So rather than type that, you can create a phrase that's the equivalent of these commands and use that in your test instead. And this allows you to write your phrase in your own lingo instead of our language, which makes it even better for documentation. And if you want to keep certain pieces of information secure and out of your tests, like, say, emails and passwords, then we have a feature called variations that let you store these custom variables and sort them into your tests at runtime. In this case, you'd have a row in our variations table called Roy, and then columns for his email, password, whatever other fields you need. And if at any point his information changes, then all you have to do is update the variations table, and your tests will all update. This allows you to create multiple tests for users like Roy and have a single test utilizing all of them and increase the functionality of all your tests. We've also built in scheduling functionality. Since none of your tests require an active user, there's no reason to have a user running them. So a schedule is essentially a cron job that lets you set it and forget it. And we've created a few of our own monitoring tests that run every few minutes. They log into our site, make sure certain features are available, take pictures of the site to prove that everything's working, and then send us an email if anything ever goes wrong. We can see the results easily, and our IT guys are absolutely loving it. So that was a quick overview of the changes. Tellurium is currently in beta, and we're actively working to add new features all the time. So anyone who signs up now will be able to run one test at a time for free as long as they keep their account, even after the beta period is over. We're also looking for companies to be beta partners. So if you're interested, nominate your company by emailing us at info@te52.com or by talking to me. Beta partners will get access to our enterprise features and get more of a say in some of the features that we add in the near future. Otherwise, feel free to just sign up at te52.com or just see me if you have any questions. Thanks.
Hi. Some of you have seen me around with those silly wooden chips, wooden nickels, tuits, they're called. We've got 5 different ones, so collect them all. They help you with your project management. And very nice to know, 80 miles from here is the company that makes them. And I'm planning on going there on Thursday or Friday. And if people want to join me and visit them, they've got a wooden nickel museum. Come to me, you will see me around with those wooden chips. See me. Thank you.
Opportunities abound. Opportunities abound. Opportunities abound for you to make a contribution to Perl and its tool chain. Today, I'm going to describe just 2 of those opportunities for you. First, pod.html, a library which has been part of Perl since, at least 15 years. Pod.html needs your help. Its interface is odd, its guts are convoluted, it has too many open bug tickets, and it needs focused attention. I would like to be part of a collective of people who solve pod.html's problems and prepare for its maintenance to be transferred to CPAN. In this collective, we need people who have a vested interest in making pod.html work well. We're particularly interested in meeting people who use or build pod in HTML format, including Windows users. Why? Because there's a program called Install HTML in the Perl 5 core distribution that is used only on Windows. We also want to meet packagers, such as the Padre people, right? People who build HTML build pod in HTML format. So, Padre. And perhaps the strawberry purple people, strawberry... A meme is born. So we need all these kinds of people to work on pod.html. Second opportunity. We need people who want to improve Perl's tools for measuring the extent to which Tests exercise the source code they are supposed to be testing. In other words, coverage analysis. Perl's main tool for coverage analysis is DevelCover, written and maintained by Paul Johnson. 2 months ago, I had the opportunity to work with Paul at the Perl QA Hackathon in Lancaster, England. We managed to close a lot of bug tickets, but there's still a lot to do. We need people to work on improving the CPAN cover program used to automatically generate coverage statistics for major CPAN distributions. And better still, we need people to help create a Perl 5 cover program, which will measure the extent to which the Perl 5 test suite actually covers the code in the core distribution. If you want to help improve the Perl 5 test suite, come and talk to me about how we can measure that test suite's coverage. So, now we have 2 areas where you can make a contribution to Perl and its toolchain. But how do you do that and have fun while doing so? Well, last year, I put forward a call for distributed hackathons. Weekend get-togethers that any local group of Perl users can organize without a whole lot of fuss and yet still get important work done. During the past year, we've organized 2 such distributed Perl hackathons. The first was held the Saturday before Thanksgiving at Steve Lembark's house in St. Louis. 7 of us sat around Steve and Joan's dining room table and hacked on a variety of subjects. We ultimately closed more than a dozen bug tickets in the Perl 5 core distribution. The most difficult aspect of organizing this hackathon? Getting to LaGuardia for my flight to St. Louis. And then, on the first Saturday in March, we did that on a larger scale in New York City. Rubenstein Tech Group generously allowed us the run of their office and conference room in Lower Manhattan. More than 24 Perl hackers came, ranging from earnest beginners to Perl 5 pumpkins and release managers. We worked on the core distribution and on important CPAN modules. The most difficult aspect of organizing that hackathon? Getting the GitHub wiki permissions right. So, the essence of a distributed hackathon is twofold. First, make it easy for the organizers to pull off. It's not a conference. It's not a centrally organized hackathon like the QA hackathon. It's supposed to be easy. Second, make it easy for people, particularly first-timers, to make a contribution to Perl or another open source software project. We ought to set a goal for ourselves, a modest goal, of doubling the number of distributed hackathons we hold before next year's YAPC from 2 to 4. We can do this at least because the opportunities abound. Thank you.
Hello? Hello, we were at the morning session. A lot of you are new people here. You may not know, if you're looking for a Perl job, you're looking to hire Perl people. I'm the Perl hunter. I'm a Perl developer. I place Perl people. I hunt down Perl people and kill them dead. So I can attest to that. We had a really good BOF this lunchtime. Who was at the BOF? Oh, you're ready?
Yeah.
Okay. Well, perlhunter.com.
It fits. Sweet. I'm a zombie, yes. I do recommend Uri. He knows what he's doing. Go to perlhunter.com. I don't get any money for saying that, all right? I'm sorry I don't have any slides. It was a very last-minute thing. The name of the talk is Mentoring for Fun and Profit. I hope some of you get the reference of the old-school document that comes from. We're not seeing anything. No, there is nothing. If you're a visual learner, I'm sorry. You're screwed. You have to listen to me. If you want to come talk to me later over beer, sorry, I got no slides for you. Pictures on napkins. Yeah, I'll do interpretive dance for you later if you buy me beers, so no worries. The name of the talk is Mentoring for Fun and Profit. Okay, how many people here have heard of Google Summer of Code? Raise your hand, please. Most people here. Okay, maybe 85%, I'll very guess. Okay, how about Google Coding? How many people have heard of that? Less. Okay, maybe 50% of the audience. Okay, good. So I'm not boring all of you to death here. Just a little bit of background of those two things, and then I'll talk about the future. Google pays students $5,000 per summer to write open source code. Yes, let me repeat that. Google pays students $5,000 for a summer to produce open source code. That's awesome. Okay, and it's a huge opportunity for above average students, because when you're an above average student, you kind of reach that diminishing returns where, why should I work harder? I already got 100% on the silly tests and whatnot. So Google Summer of Code attracts the really smart, scary kids, or scary smart, not smart, scary. And they do amazing things, many things in Perl and Perl 5, Perl 6, and everything. Every open source project you ever heard of, Google Summer of Code has made it better. So it's a good program. Okay, and if you ever want to mentor a student or something like that, come talk to me. Okay, now there's Google Coding. How is Google Coding different? Google Summer of Code, you have to be 18 and you have to be a college student. Okay? You can be 99 if you want, or even older if you can live longer than that, but you got to be 18. Google Coding is for 13 to 17-year-olds. Okay, so if you know scary, smart, younger kids, then Google Coding is for them. It's slightly misnamed because you don't need to write code in Google Coding. I know, yeah. Google Summer of Code, you must write code. You can't write just docs or just, do UI. You have to write some code, at least in Google Summer of Code. Google Coding is totally free form, and you can have students work on anything. They could work on a screencast to tell people how to install your software, or do outreach, or anything. So it's much more general. It's GSOC's little sister, and it is a contest, not an internship. So Google doesn't pay these students any money. It's a contest, and there's some nominal money that gets exchanged, but the students that do Google Coding are not motivated by money. They're motivated by being the top 10 smartest kids in the world, basically, because they have like a leaderboard and things like that. And also turns out that you can't pay kids that are under 17 because you run into all kinds of crazy child labor laws. Awesome. Weird problems. Okay, so GSOC 18 and up, Google Coding 13 to 17. Okay, and then now there's also other things. There's Karen Pauly has done awesome stuff with outreach recently. You heard about that, so I'm not going to repeat that. Okay, that's the past. So where are we now? Some people might have heard, maybe wrongly, that Perl was not accepted to Google Summer of Code this year. Actually, it kind of was. One student is working on a JavaScript backend to Perl 6, which is going to be really awesome. And then also Parrot is part of Google Summer of Code as well. I think Perl needs its own Perl seasons of code. Okay, we should have something like Google Summer of Code all the time. We should be attracting the smartest students in the world. We have money that we sometimes don't know how to efficiently use, and I'm going to go ahead and say that it's the youngest generation that we should be utilizing that money for. We want to attract the new smartest kids, and I will tell you without any exaggeration that the people I've interacted with, the 13 to 17-year-olds that I've interacted with Google Coding, or some of the smartest people I've ever met in my entire life. They're orders of magnitude more intelligent than I, and I don't even know what they'll accomplish in their lifetimes. I'm amazed to even think about that. So you will learn as a mentor in Google Coding. You will interact with child geniuses and people that at 15 know more about your code base than you do, and you wrote it. So it's pretty cool. Okay, so if you want to help with any of this, if you want to help with Google Coding, if you want to help with Google Summer of Code, or you want to help in the future with Perl having its own Perl seasons of code, please contact me or Karen Pauly. I think various things are happening right now. It's all informal, but duke@lido.net is my email. Please send me an email and do good things in the world.
Hi, my name is Francis Sola, also known as Hank. I just wanted to let people know that a couple of us here from NVIDIA, Qualcomm, and there's got to be other people out there in the hardware design automation area. So if you guys want to get together out in the hallway afterwards, we can just talk or do dinner or something like that.
Hello, name's Chris Nairn, Operon on IRC. So, little story today. I started as a developer, worked with some of the people in this room, and that was pretty interesting. I learned a lot about how to be a programmer and that kind of thing. But around a few years ago, certain people in this room, maybe a British guy who some of you may know, gave me a job working part-time dev, part-time admin, and I noticed that, hey, I'm really liking this admin thing. So, a few more jobs down the road, I find myself as a full-time sysadmin, which means that I'm not programming as much as I used to be, or rather, not programming in Perl as much as I used to be. And so I'm finding myself writing C and Ruby and JavaScript, and maybe even a little bit of Python to do what I need to do. And it's something of a meme that I've found in different technology communities, wherein different competing technologies tend to be antagonized, or people tend to have an antagonistic view of other technologies. And really, I see that as something of a problem or a hindrance for technologists in terms of getting problems solved. The idea being that, we're problem solvers, we're supposed to make things go, we're supposed to get things done. So if we're really limiting ourselves to one language or one tool, we're not being as effective as we could be. So the idea that I would like to present today is, and the title of the talk is The Perks of Being a Polyglot. So I found myself a few weeks ago trying to determine why an auditing system that I'm deploying isn't working right. Okay, well, fine. So, first thing you do, you turn on debugging, and the debugging doesn't really help. Second thing you do, of course, I learned this from RDBS when I work with him, is, go read the code. So go read the code, and eventually I find out, well, it's not supposed to do the thing that I want it to do. And of course, if I was not a C developer, if I was not able to read and grok C, if I was just a Perl developer, I would have been stuck then. I would not have been able to solve the problem that my boss wanted me to solve. So the idea here is that when you extend yourself to embrace multiple technologies that are in the same space, or even slightly different spaces, you increase your value to your employer, you increase your value just in general, because you become better at solving problems, better at making things go. It's very, very simple. It's just, I believe people need something of a push, and it's really not so hard. People say that C is horrible, or Python is abysmal, or Ruby doesn't make sense to them. I really feel that if you give things a shot and you try to be honestly open-minded, that you can do a lot. I mean, 5 years ago, I was a Perl developer, and I was perfectly fine with just being a Perl developer. But these days, I have a much wider breadth of problems that I can address, that I can look at and figure out answers and solutions to, that I wasn't really able to do as a monolingual programmer, I guess you could say. Just as being multilingual with natural languages allows you to communicate with more people, so too does being a polyglot programmer help you to solve more problems than you will be able to otherwise. So, that kind of thing. And it's easier today to learn programming than it was even 5 years ago. There are so many resources out there. There are so many tutorials and documentation, videos, and all these resources for learning different languages. So it's easier now to be a polyglot than it ever was. And as things get more complicated, the days of the homogeneous software shop are really mostly gone. I know a client that is working with Java, Ruby, Node, off the top of my head, and I don't know everything on a project. So this is a 3-language client. And if, if we didn't have people with all those competencies, we'd be out of the client, we'd be out of work. So, just be open-minded, I guess, is the key thing that I'm saying. And consider, being able to solve more problems that way. Thank you.
Hi, me again. For many years, I forget how many because my brain is melted, we've had at YAPC a bad movie night. Many of you have come, and many of you have enjoyed it. I would love for someone, the one thing I've never been good at is wrangling a venue for bad movie night. I've got the movies, But if someone would like to volunteer to figure out where we can do this, all I need is a video projector, TV, big TV, something that I can plug HDMI, VGA, or even component video into from my computer. So if anyone would like to volunteer to wrangle a venue for me, great. And I'm going to set up a page on the wiki for people to sign up for it so we know how many people we have, so how big a space we need. So anyway, take a look at that, and if you want to volunteer, please do. Thank you.
Hi, I'm Curtis Poe, better known as Ovid. If you go around to www.allaroundtheworld.fr, eventually .fr, that's going to be a .job eventually after we get some legal stuff done. The site's just in beta right now. I'm going to teach you a macroeconomics course, 101, in 5 minutes. Obviously, there will be a few shortcuts taken. So for those of you familiar with economics, you know economics is all about the best use of limited resources. Best is obviously something that we argue about quite a bit. And the 4 factors of production that we like to talk about in economics are land, labor, capital, and entrepreneurship. Entrepreneurship is a little bit controversial. That's more in Western-style capitalist economics. A lot of people argue about it. It's just a special case of labor. So forget about entrepreneurship. In fact, forget about land if you're thinking about economics, because land is more or less a fixed quantity for most economies. So forget about capital, which is your infrastructure, the things you have to maintain your economy, because that is built and maintained by labor. It all comes down to labor, and labor has to be educated, it has to be healthy, and it has to be mobile, because they have to understand the work, they have to be able to perform the work, and they have to be able to get to the work, which is why all major economies subsidize these 3 areas, well, kind of except for the United States. So, moving on to a slightly different topic, Adam Smith wrote the book, An Inquiry into the Nature and Causes of the Wealth of Nations, which after the Bible is the most quoted book which no one's ever read. And he likes to talk about something called the invisible hand, where people acting in their own best interest will be able to clear the market. And when he's talking about acting in their own best interest, they can buy a sack of potatoes for $3 because they think it's better than a sack of potatoes and $4, but we're talking about informed self-interest. They have to know that $3 is actually a better deal than the sack of potatoes next door. You have to have information. And this information has to be relevant, it has to be accurate, it has to be complete, it has to be timely. If that information has those characteristics for you, it is extremely valuable. And that's where the information economy comes in. It is huge. This is a game changer for the entire planet. Information is expensive. You buy it or you sell it, and you probably want to be on the selling side, which is what a lot of you folks are involved in, managing information in some way, shape, or form, and reselling generally doesn't deplete that information. Well, kind of, sort of. So the 4 factors of production are actually land, labor, capital, and information. That is a modern-day information economy, and the international response is they want information. Countries are closing borders, but not to you. They're not closing borders for IT workers. They're opening up opportunities. Many times we talk about STEM workers, people involved in science, technology, engineering, or medicine. People in the technology field like you don't necessarily have to have a university degree, whereas many of the others do. So after years of writing my blog about how to be an expat, I got tired of all the people coming to me all the time saying, please help me be an expat, and all the companies coming to me all the time saying, by the way, can you help us find some expats? We want to hire people from abroad because we can't find local people. So my wife and I decided to put together a company where we're doing IT consulting, IT training, a variety of things, but also we're specializing in international IT recruiting. So currently we've been working with a couple of different companies in Amsterdam. We placed one person in Asia. I really can't say more about that. We've got a company in Germany that we're opening up right now, and they're also looking for Perl developers. We're going to be interviewing for them. These companies, they will handle your work permits, or in some cases, something called a blue card, which makes it easy to move over. They handle relocation packages for you. They help expats move abroad. Well, we help expats move abroad. And we're going to have more companies in the future, but we're trying to do this very slow right now. We're not focusing on just Java work or just Perl workers. We're also doing some Java for the company in Germany. And we're not doing typical recruiting. This is for people who want to be expatriates, who would like to live and work in another country. So about ourselves, obviously, I've been living in 5 countries. My wife, depending upon how you want to count the countries, has been living in 3 or 4 of them. We're obviously tech savvy, and we're very passionate about the world and helping people move abroad. Again, the company's all around the world. The www.allaroundtheworld.fr, you can consider that alpha, almost beta. This is a soft launch. We're not really doing a big push right now. But if you're interested in working and living in another country and you've got IT skills, come talk to me. Or come talk to my wife if you happen to see her at some point. Thank you.
Hi, my name is Daniel. I work for a small company out of San Diego called Good Tech. That's U with an umlaut. We solve problems for retailers and do it in a novel way that we find to be really exciting. We're hiring right now, and if you want to come talk shop, I'll be upstairs. Come join me. Thank you.
I've had this ThinkPad too long, I've kind of destroyed it. Never mind. So, this lightning talk is called You Did What? 3 man ideas, 3 modules, 5 minutes. Let's see if we can get through all of it. So, alright, you have your straight up thing, $obj_foo. What's that? Well, what's going on? Okay. It's a method call, we know it's a method call, but we find the class name for $obj, which is the package name that it's actually blessed into. Then we look up the name foo via the MRO. What's an MRO? An MRO is a method resolution order, as in which way we search the packages. So MRO.pm in Perl core provides this functionality, and it has a system called getLinearIsr that allows you to get the order in which things are resolved. We have the traditional Perl method resolution order and the newest C3 system, which is used by a few different bits and pieces. Okay, fair enough. Obj_arrow super : foo. Well, that's actually $obj_arrow class of the object super foo. It's a special thing. And class of obj super is a magic thing that points at the superclass. Wait. I mean, okay, it's almost like that. Read lots of C code and cry if you want to understand the very subtle differences. But that's not the point. The point is, we're resolving superclass of object foo. That's fully qualified dispatch. Wait a second. So, okay, if you've seen from 5.10 upwards, core has a thing called next : method. And that always dispatches according to the C3 resolution order. It's what DBIX class components use. So that's actually sub-method in package next. Ooh. I have an idea. Because how many times have you written something like that in order to have a subroutine to pass to IOA sync or PO or whatever? You know, you want to call back, you want to encapsulate calling a method. You're just carrying a method call on an object. But as soon as you want to start arguments, like, there's all sorts of ways to get this wrong with a silly typo. So, create package curry, have an auto load that pulls out the method name and builds that code ref. At which point, I can just write that and get the callback. I can also pass arguments, those are prepended. And better still, the horrible weakened dance that you have to do to produce a callback that doesn't give you a circular reference, I implemented once and never have to do again. So, second crazy trick. $obj_arrow $foo. Wait, what? Ah, well, you see, $foo can be a method name or a code ref at this point. So, how many times have you ended up writing if blessed $obj and $obj can, you know, because otherwise you're going to get an exception if it's not an object. I'm so bored of making that mistake. So I wrote a module called safe : isr, and that exports a $_can global that does it for you. At which point I can now write that and get the information. Cleans up so much code. And of course, because, well, you know, it's trivial and I'm just exporting some code refs, I produce a $is, a $does, at which point I can do all sorts of tests on things. And if somebody passes me through undef, it's just going to fail. Much simpler. Okay. $0, $foo. We've had that. We know about that one. What about this? What you're doing there is dereferencing a scalar reference. And so foo needs to return either a reference to a name or a reference to a code ref. And then the dollar brace derefs it and it gets handled normally, so I can have logic in there. So you can do inline methods like this, which is great. But what's that going to help with? The most important thing is importing. Okay, that works, sort of. Except import almost always calls caller, so now you've imported into the wrong thing. So, okay, you can do that for a single one, but if you've got two things to import, you're now having to mess about and use export to level, which is exporter specific, so now it doesn't work with sub-exporter. Oh, and worse still, pragmas. Pragmas affect the currently executed compilation scope, so you have to do that instead. So, to get something that works for both, the only way to do it is with an eval. And that gives you caller correct for exporters and compilation scope right for pragmas, but it's kind of ugly. So, sufficiently encapsulated ugly is indistinguishable from beautiful. What we do is, we eval up a subroutine that grabs the method name out of it, calls the method using that, and then you can call it with import arrow at args or unimport arrow at args. And having done that, you build it up with a hash ref, create an underscore importer sub, and now you can write import : into that uses the brace style to actually generate the importer and call it, and your code to export multiple modules becomes just that, and that works with a thing 1 and thing 2 and modules or pragmas. Oh, works for modules, works for pragmas. I did unimport out of as well for the equivalent of no, and so 3 tiny modules encapsulating a massive amount of crazy each, but into a nice simple interface that means you never have to think about that piece of crazy again. Generally, it's taken me 3 times as long to document it so anybody can understand how it works as it took me to write the thing. Please, download, install, depend, and enjoy. They're all already on CPAN, they've been on there for ages now.
Hello, Yepsi. My name is Jay Hanna, and among my many hats, I am the Perl Mongers International Chief Ticket Monkey. And if you don't know, what Perl Mongers is, there's lots of new people here. Perl Mongers is local groups in your geography, so you can come have cool meetings like this one, much smaller probably, in your area, and you can meet up with people, have coffee, or whatever. Now, please check pm.org and see where your local group is. And if there isn't one, congratulations, you are now the group leader of your local Perl Mongers group. So please come talk to me, check out pm.org. If you need any help at all, support@pm.org is a great place to send an email, or just come grab me. I'm here all week, and then I'm here for the Moose training after the talk, after the conference. So please check that stuff out. Thanks.
Score. I'm supposed to go after Matt, seriously? Fuck. I mean, gosh darn it. Okay. Let's see if I have. Yes. And oh wait. Yes. All right, it works. Okay. All right. Thank you. I'm done. You can all go. I can't top that. Okay. So I'm going to give a talk about why CGI.pm must die, and I hope that at the end of this, you're going to be convinced enough to go and burn the motherfucker down. So let's get started, okay? Because I'm starting the timer now. Sorry. Okay. First of all, it sucks. I'm going to start with reasons and everything, and if it doesn't convince you, we'll talk later. So So why the CGI.pm sucks? First of all, it's slow, it's heavy, it's ugly, it's old, it's not safe, it's exhausting, it's confused. And if none of this convinces you, your mama. All right, let's get started. CGI.pm is slow. It's so slow he went on a race alone and came in second. That's hard. It's not persistent, which means that every request loads the entire application all over again. Which was fine, it was fine for the old days of black and white, but now we have color TV, we have fridges instead of ice boxes, we have chairs, seriously, people, we can't, it's too slow for today. So people try to fix it with CGI speed up, CGI compile, CGI fast, but overall, just kill it now, okay? Hopefully with fire. CGI.pm is heavy. It is so heavy, I couldn't fit it in this slide. I tried. Font, Times New Roman, size 1. Didn't work. See, it's huge. It has a ton of functions and methods. Most of them are rarely used. Have you heard of the 80-20 rule? 80% of the people use 20% of the features. This has 99-1. I checked. It's on MetaCPAN. There's an option. So it's pretty shitty. And there's CGI Light and CGI Simple, and I heard about CGI Thin. So there's so many things, but just kill it. Kill it now. Now it's ugly. It's so ugly it makes blind children cry. You cannot hack on CGI.pm at the park. Kids cry. See, this is an example of fetching the parameter list as a hash. Params, hue, vars, split. You see this shit? You see this? This is a null terminator. I thought I was done with it. Here it is again. Asshole. All right. Seriously. Just kill it now. Also, CGI.pm is old. It is so old, it was invented before the internet. They invented CGI.pm, then afterwards came the internet, then everything else you know. It was written in 1995. It hasn't been updated to use any of the new conventions and technologies that we have and that you should use, such as PSGI, MVC, pretty URLs, clean URLs, whatever you want to call them. So, kill it. Kill it now. Also, it's not safe. I personally always double glove before touching CGI.pm. This is from the documentation. A potential problem with CGI.pm is that by default, it attempts to process form postings no matter how large they are. It doesn't matter, let's just try, we'll see. 500 gigabytes, sure, why not? So there's CGI Safe and CGI Untamed. Just kill it now. It's exhausting. It's so exhausting, I'm already tired of talking about it. I'm wiped. Here's an example of writing CGI code. See, there's a subject page and an article page, and I have to check the parameter over here. Okay. Over here, and then I have to see if it's a known page, I have to see if there's an ID, and I have to render an error. Does anyone know why this exits 0? There's a hint right over there. Give it a shot. All right? And you got to check each one of these separately. Shit. I mean, I meant to... Yeah, the display can't stand it anymore. So this is refactored. Oh, you think it's going to be 1 minute? All right. So so here there's a function, and then I have to do all of this again. It's still ugly as hell, and it's exhausting as well. I'll keep it at that. There's args checker, and it's not enough. Just kill it already. So it's also confused because it mixes design and content and code. See, these were different jobs. These are different jobs right now, but back then you did all the work, but back then you only had like a title and 2 paragraphs, so why not? So there's a table and a caption. I think there's an option for CSS 0.03 or I don't know. So, all right. What should you do instead? What you should do instead is use a proper web framework. A couple. Hopefully it will be one that supports PSGI. You can use Catalyst, Dancer, WebSimple, M12, Kelp, WebNano, Modulicious. Seriously, all of those. Of course, Dancer is my favorite, but you can use that. You can use something else, even though you should use Dancer. I'm just kidding. But hell, you can even write it in pure PSGI. That's acceptable. That's totally fine. Just not in CGI.pm. A little bit about Dancer because I have to. Effortless micro web framework, lightweight, which means it's fast, simple, which means it's easy to learn, it's plug and PSGI compliant, has minimal dependencies, it's CPM friendly, some stuff. There's a get here and a template rendering for an index template with a variable greeting that has a value welcome. You have variables here that you can use the params to reach, and you can have regex routes because this is Perl and we're fucking awesome. And this is a serializer, so you just return a hash, it serializes everything automatically. There's like a ton of serializers, including immutable serializers, because, hey, why not? So, all right, before I show this, there's one extra development that I've seen recently. Where's Rick? Is he here? There's the guy. Thank you. I love you. I love you generally, but also because of this. So, lastly, just, shit. All right. So, program responsibly. Go out. Spread the word. Thank you.